Well, in a shocking incident that took place in Pune, where a 17-year-old drove a Porsche and killed two innocent people on a bike. The Juvenile Justice Board cancelled his bail and the accused minor and has sent him to rehabilitation centre. The Pune police has told the local court that the father allegedly asked the driver to give the car keys to his son whenever he asks for it, while the lawyer of the father claims that he gave the car to the driver and not to his son. While the victim's family is mourning on the death of Ashwini and Anish Avadia, the family is also claiming that there is an external pressure on the police which is hampering the investigation. Now, the teen is being sent to rehab till the 5th of June, where the court is going to decide whether to consider him as a minor or an adult. What happens next will be the big question. Will he be tried as an adult or as a minor? Moreover, will the victims receive justice or not is the big question. Before, in fact, we jump into this debate, we are also joined by Mr. Anish Avadia, who's the uncle of Akhilesh Avadia, who's the victim of the Pune hit and run case. Mr. Avadia, I appreciate you joining us and speaking to us even in this sad moment for you. First question is, there have been discrepancies that have been spoken of. What discrepancies have you raised in the Pune police investigation?
अभी हम तो यहाँ पर हैं तो हमको नहीं पता पड़ रहा कि पुलिस क्या जांच कर रही है, जांच में क्या कार्रवाई कर रही है। क्योंकि यदि जांच सही से होती, एफआईआर सही तथ्यों पर होती तो बेल ना मिलती है। आज की डेट में तो बेल आउट हो गया। अब कल भी जो ये था कि बालिग उसको माना जाएगा, इस पर कोई निर्णय सुरक्षित लगती है न्यायालय में, उसको बालिग का भी आदेश नहीं हुआ है। और कल ये खबर आ रही थी कि जो वो उसको जमानत मिली है कैंसिल हो गई। हमको ऐसी भी सूचना है कि वो जमानत कैंसिल नहीं हुई है, सिर्फ उसको पब्लिक के आक्रोश से बचाने के लिए बाल सुधार गृह उसको भेज दिया गया है और वहां पर उसको रखा जा रहा है। अभी उसकी बेल भी कैंसिल नहीं हुई। तो जो किशोर न्यायालय है, जुवेनाइल बोर्ड है, वो अभी उस पर प्रॉपर जो निर्णय करना चाहिए वो निर्णय नहीं कर पाया।
सर, आपका अंदाजा है क्या कि पुणे पुलिस ने किसी तरीके के दबाव में आकर इस पूरे मामले को रफा दफा करने की कोशिश की?
दोनों बातें हो सकती हैं, चाहे जानबूझ के किया हो या दबाव में। पुलिस को जैसी कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए, पुलिस ने शुरुआती दौर में उस प्रकार की कार्रवाई नहीं की। बाद में जब सोशल मीडिया में या मीडिया में इस प्रकार की खबरें चलने लगी तो पुलिस थोड़ा एक्टिव हुई है, उस पर कार्रवाई कर रही है। यदि शुरू में ही करती कार्रवाई पुलिस प्रॉपरली बेस पे जो सेक्शन धाराएं लगाती, तो इस प्रकार से ना उसको पिताजी को बेल मिल सकती थी, ना ही उसके लड़के को बेल मिल सकती थी।
सर, फैमिली पर जो विक्टिम्स की जो फैमिली है, क्या उन पर भी कोई दबाव की परिस्थितियां मंडरा रही हैं?
परिवार तो यहाँ बैठा हुआ है तो दबाव ये महसूस कर रहा है कि हम वहां पर नहीं हैं, तो हम अपनी पैरवी तो नहीं कर सकते प्रॉपरली। अभी हम यहाँ 1200-1400 किलोमीटर दूर बैठे हैं, हम पुलिस के पास बार बार जा नहीं सकते हैं, उनसे कार्रवाई की मांग नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि अभी 12 दिन का तो हम यहाँ बांड हो गए हैं, हमारे पास शोक में है। अब पुलिस यदि प्रॉपरली कार्रवाई करती तो अच्छी बात है। दबाव तो महसूस होता है कि हमारा लड़का चला गया, और यदि अच्छे से कार्रवाई होती तो हमको न्याय, जो देरी हो रही है वो न्याय हमको त्वरित मिल सकता था।
सर, पुलिस ने या फिर प्रशासन ने किसी तरीके की प्रोटेक्शन आपके परिवार को देने की कोई व्यवस्था की है?
नहीं, इस प्रकार की अभी कोई बात नहीं, कोई सुरक्षा प्रदान नहीं की गई। न पुलिस ने अभी तक हमसे कोई संपर्क नहीं किया किसी भी प्रकार का। परिवार को जो भी सूचनाएं मिली थी शुरू में, शुरुआती दौर में एक्सीडेंट की, उसके दोस्तों ने दी। पुलिस के द्वारा हमको कोई सूचना नहीं मिली थी, कि दोस्तों की सूचना पर हमारे परिवारजन वहां पहुंचे थे।
सर, सरकार से आपकी क्या मांगे हैं? आप क्या नतीजों की मांग कर रहे हैं?
सरकार से हमारी यही मांग है कि को न्याय मिलना चाहिए, और जो कानून में जो धाराएं उसके ऊपर आरोप लगना चाहिए और उसको सजा होनी चाहिए जो उसने गलत।
सर, ये जो लड़का है इसको जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड में भेजा गया है, और एक तरह से ये एक कानूनी गलत कानूनी लिहाज से भी एक ही गलत चीज़ है। क्या कहना चाहेंगे इस बारे में आप?
जी जी बिल्कुल, जुवेनाइल बोर्ड ने एक मजाक जैसे ही किया है। अभी भी इसलिए उसको भेजा गया है, जहां तक मेरा मानना है, कि जो जनता के बीच में आक्रोश है उसको बेल दे दिए है, बेल आउट हो गया है, तो कहीं घूमेगा फिरेगा तो जनता कहीं उसके ऊपर अटैक ना करे। इस बात से सुरक्षित करने के लिए उसको वहां बाल सुधार गृह भेज दिया है। उसकी बेल का कैंसिलेशन का कोई ऑर्डर नहीं हुआ है। और उसको भी जो बालिक लेन पर निर्णय करना चाहिए था, उस पर भी अभी अपना आदेश को सुरक्षित रखा है। किशोर न्यायालय बोर्ड ने उस पर भी अभी कोई निर्णय नहीं किया है।
सर, आखिरी सवाल, पूरा देश इस मामले पर नज़र रखे हुए हैं। आपको किस तरीके की समर्थन की अपेक्षा है हमारी एक तरह से कानून व्यवस्था से?
यही संदेश है कि पूरा जहां भी हो, कानून का पूर्ण रूप से शासन प्रशासन को पालन करना चाहिए। जो पब 10 बजे की अनुमति है और रात भर खुले रहते हैं, और किशोरों को शराब परोसी जा रही है, और बिना ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस के, बिना रजिस्ट्रेशन की गाड़ियां सराटेदार दौड़ रही हैं, जहां प्रशासन बिल्कुल मौन है, आरटीओ मौन है, पुलिस मौन। वहां अपने बच्चों को बहुत ही सजगता से ये सिखाना चाहिए कि भाई आप प्रॉपरली वे पे अपना काम करें और रात में ज्यादा देर तक नाइट में बाहर न रहें। और इस प्रकार से किसी भी सरकार से आशा ना करें कि हमको सरकार से कोई मदद मिलेगी।
सर, हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए और समय निकालने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। We'll talk about this with our panelists now. Mr. Sandeep Chacha, human rights activist, with us on the program. Advocate Ashwini Dubey, Supreme Court lawyer, on record, also joins us on the show. Rajalakshmi Joshi, political analyst, also with us on the program. Last but not the least, Mr. Anurag Kulshrestha, road safety expert from Tracks NGO, also joins us on the show. Well, whatever has happened, it's not only tragic, but it's again, Anurag, a reminder of the mistakes that have not been corrected from the past. You know, of course, a few of these mistakes were also highlighted by the gentleman that we just spoke to. You're serving alcohol to minors. You're keeping open a pub which should be or ought to be closed by 10 p.m. You're driving at 200 kilometers an hour on a road which is replete with traffic and pedestrians. It's right next to universities and the mall and the market. This is obviously breaking of the law, at multiple levels, but still you are let go with a rap on the knuckles. And this is not the first time something like this has happened. If you remember the BMW case in Delhi, where cops were run over, in that case also the culprit in the beginning was let go because of his connection, because of the clout that he was able to push, because of all his money. And there have been innumerable cases, some pertaining to Bollywood as well, where people literally have gotten away with murder. System is supposed to be fixed. System is supposed to be, in fact, take some sort of a course correction. But I think we're still living in that regressive state where you can literally get away with murder if you are powerful and if you have a big bank balance. Anurag? Anurag, can you hear me?
Yes. So I'll just elaborate something, because it has become the trend or the society norms in our country. If you remember, you have gone through a number of cases, and everything is governed by the Motor Vehicle Act till now. Still, like just few days back, a few months back, our Grah Mantri ji has introduced one hit and run act, which was opposed by whole of the community at a great level, and nothing has happened to that. And secondly, we don't know I don't know what exactly the judiciary system is doing or the working on that particular scenario in case of bail and actions on this such accused and all. But frankly, because our system, just because of our poor system, poor political will, every state government has opposed our road safety bill also. Then under the pressure, Mr. Gadkari has introduced the amendment in the Motor Vehicle Act. So that is the whole scenario in our country. And in every accidental case, this is not a single case. There are 168,000 cases every year in our country. Because it's a BMW case, sometimes Porsche case, sometimes like this, we are focusing on such cases. we must focus on 1.68 lakhs deaths. This is on record. Otherwise, there may be more than 2.5 lakhs deaths on our roads. So first, we have to create the political will. We have to make the pressure on the politics or the policy makers. And if you will just go through the entire thing, because I'm thinking about the entire scenario, our policy makers, like our politicians, you must have seen the entire rally system and all during these elections. They all are ghostly opposing or the not focusing on traffic rules and regulations. Then our police personnel, more than 90% police personnel are not following the traffic rules and regulations on our roads. And then the provokers, especially in our movies and in our advertisements, you may see number of stunting, rash driving, drink and driving scenario everywhere, which are provoking every minute to our population or to our entire society. And this is what we are. We are the part of the indisciplined society, governed by the indisciplined politicians or the policymakers, and enforced by the indisciplined enforcers.
Right.
So
absolutely.
that is the scenario of our India.
Right. Let me also bring in Ashwini into this. Ashwini, there's a new law from the old one, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, section 106 talks about the punishment that has been changed to 5 years. But there's a subclause that has been added that states that the person causing death of anyone by negligent and rash driving of a vehicle does not amount to culpable homicide. But if the person goes away, walks away from the accident without reporting it, then of course the penalty and the repercussions are much different. But the fact of the matter is that the initial reaction to this case did not fall under the ambit or purview of this stricter law which has just been implemented. So the fact of the matter is that even the police are not very sensitive to the nuances of this case, and especially the nuances of the new law.
Why? Because Vineet Bhai, as of now, the Indian Penal Code, the Macaulay's draconian law is still in existence, and the new law, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita BNS 2023, shall be implemented from July 1. 2. By an executive order. If you remember the transporters' strike, during that point of time, it was assured by the minister, the central minister, and also by one of the secretary that they will not implement this law unless they discuss it with the transporters. 3. The law which we have discussed, which has been implemented in this case, that was brought by the Macaulay, which was based to rule the country. And that law is in existence, despite that we have number of cases. You have referred just BMW Nanda case, you have referred just the film industry's cases, you have just referred every day Vineet Bhai Greater Kailash case. How can we forget? We have discussed on a number of occasions on television. There is a series of negligence in this matter. Why? Negligence number 1 by the showroom owner for delivering a vehicle without number, contrary to the Motor Vehicle Act and various precedents and notifications passed by Ministry of Transport Highway and also the government, state governments. Negligence by the father for allowing a minor to drive vehicle. Negligence by the bar owner, as you rightly said, serving alcohol to a minor who is less than 21 years. Negligence by the further bar owner for allowing a person who is just a juvenile, who is under the influence of the local liquor, for allowing him to drive the vehicle and go home. No CCTV on the road, despite the Justice Verma Committee's recommendation. If you remember, when Nirbhaya case happened, there was a recommendation that each and every street, each and every road shall be having this CCTV, and that would be monitored by the police stations, nearest police station. A vehicle which are driving for 200 kilometers per hour. But there was no check. So this is a failure of the machinery. Point number 4, negligence by the traffic police cop for not being on road and not checking the drink driving. Point number 5, negligence by the IO for putting just a 304A, another the Macaulay's 304A, where the punishment is 2 years. Not making it the culpable homicide amounting to murder under section 304. There should have been, at the first instance, because 2 youth died, they should have implemented 304. Then there would not be any occasion for the juvenile court to allowing him to give the naitik gyan and to write an essay. Point number 4, non-appreciation of gravity of offense by the judge concerned. I'm very sorry to say, I'm a student of law. I'm part of this system, but I say the judge has not appreciated the gravity of the offense. I'm very sorry to the police has not represented its case, keeping in view the gravity of the offense before the magistrate. That it was the duty of the prosecution also. And when the incident sparks outrage on social media, while a war was issued between number of people and people like you, me, and interactive citizens, then only there was an attempt to cancel the bill. Vinit Bhai, we have still going with this end of colonial laws which was needed. Still this colonial law is in existence. That is why I have written a book, End of Colonial Laws, From Vision to Action, where we need a law which is able to deal today's challenges. The law which was made in 1860 is still in existence. Despite that, we have Nanda case, we have Salman Khan's case, we have BMW case, we have number of incidents on road. Anjali Athawa's case in Delhi, where more than 10 kilometers she was on the road. People and no police was there. You remember, Vinit? What is the need? Need is only check and balance, and that is not your mind talk. We are doing our job. That is the job of the agency concerned. Now, Chief Minister is coming and saying, Vinit Bhai, that we have just made ensuring that this accused his bail is cancelled and they are getting justice. Justice would be when in the same intensity which we are discussing today, at that within 6 months, when the offense will be, those culprits will be punished by the court, and in the same intensity, Chief Minister would come and say, look, इसके जो अपराधी थे उनको सजा मिली है, और हम पूरे देश में अपने प्रदेश में कहना चाहते हैं कि अगर अपने बच्चों को आपने इस तरह से रैश नेग्लिजेंट ड्राइविंग छोड़ दे करके कहा और उनको ये सोचा कि ये जुवेनाइल लॉ का बेनिफिट मिलकर के बेल मिलेगी, तो नहीं, आप ये पनिशमेंट जो हो रहा है वो मैसेज है, जैसे निर्भया केस में मैसेज गया. दैट इज द नीड ऑफ द I completely see.
Absolutely.
Negligence we need on over.
Absolutely. Good points there. And Mr. Chachra, according to police data from 2023, 47% of road fatalities in the national capital region and, to a large extent, that same percentage throughout the country as well was caused by unknown vehicles. That means you could not even identify what their number plates were all about. And in most cases, in at least 38% of the cases, Mr. Chatra, there were no witnesses. Nobody wanted to come forth and identify and verify whether this was the vehicle in question that ran down or hurt somebody. Now, this is obviously an apathy of the system. This is obviously a big lacuna which needs to in fact come up. But how many people have to die for this is the big question.
Thank you for having me here, and greetings to all your viewers on Buddha Jayanti, and my condolences to the bereaved family. The uncle was speaking just now. Vinitji, you're very right. India, in the case of India, as the first panelist was speaking, the road accidents are on the rise. And if you look at Indian cities, I'm talking of metros, and this is NCRB data, National Crime Records Bureau data, which says that nearly 40% of the road accidents in the cities of India, I'm not talking of the entire, sort of countryside and things like, but cities of India, 40% of the road accidents involve pedestrians. Hit and run cases being, and these mean hawkers, these means vendors, these means people walking on the streets. And as we know, major fatalities, those who suffer fatalities on the roads are those who are either pedestrians or cyclists or two-wheeler drivers, as in the case of Pune. So I just want to make one point with reference to what needs to be done in the medium and long term, and then move on to other issues. And I think that's with reference to what we are doing in terms of planning mobility and safety, road accident safety in our cities. Somehow we seem to have, our cities are occupied by very, very mixed modes of transport. You will have carts on the road, you will have cyclists on the road, pedestrians on the road. You will have even animal-driven carts on the roads. All our cities, these are cities of India. We are densely populated countries and densely populated cities. Now, in these cities, in these very cities, we are privileging motor vehicles and high-speed motor vehicles, building four-lane highways in a scenario which is very, very mixed. So somehow this seems to be going wrong and leading to fatalities which you were pointing to. And given the lax system, the negligent system, you don't even often identify who has done it, who the driver was, and you only sort of deal with the victims in the hospitals. And this, and thanks that the media has done a tremendous job. weren't it for the media and weren't it for the family, the sheer audacity with which the rich and powerful of this country continue to break the laws, and the complicity of the system, it's not just negligence, as Ashwini ji was saying, but the complicity of the law enforcement system in dealing with such issues. I mean, it wouldn't have been brought to the light, weren't it for the media. But even so, as was being pointed out by Ashwini ji before me, it will take years. We have known many cases. This is not the first case. It'll take years to, frame charges. I hope it does not. It'll take years to, find the guilty if it doesn't lead to acquittals before that. There have been many famous cases where acquittals have happened, even so that and that offense has gone unpunished. So I think that's where we are right now. We seem to be in a place where there is a very popular sentiment among the majorities of our country that laws are not meant for the rich, that laws only become tigers, if I may use that word, when it comes to the poor and the powerless, for minor offenses who languish in jail without bail. So decolonization of laws, yes, but alongside decolonization of laws, equitable, even-handed application of the law is needed. A lot of sections, and my other point, Vinitji, a lot of sections in the media, and I've been reading it, are talking about the child in conflict with the law, and too much focus on child in conflict with the law. The Juvenile Justice Act of 2015 lays out a clear procedure for establishing when a child can be tried as adult. There is a procedure there. There is a procedure which also encompasses whether the child is cognizant of the consequences of the crime, whether the circumstances around which this crime or this kind of an accident happened. So I think a due process needs to be followed, and the Juvenile Justice Board, which decides this, will take time. Probably in the law, I think it's 2 months or so, and that will happen. But I think the main question here is to focus on those who enabled such a crime to happen, the guardian of the child in conflict with the law, the guardians there. The regulatory system, the bars which are openly serving liquor to children. I mean, this is not just one bar there.
Right.
The law enforcement system which led to this almost acquittal. So I think that's where we should be focusing on, alongside the medium-term questions of looking at mobility, safety, privileging public transport.
Right, sir.
Thank you.
Right, sir. You're absolutely right. Rajalakshmi Joshi, in fact, what was even shocking and appalled the entire nation was the fact that, this teenager who drives rashly, was just given a rap on the knuckles and let go. He was asked to write an essay of 300 words. In the age of artificial intelligence and chat GPT, you don't even have to write that kind of an essay. You can just issue a command. He was asked to go through some psychological counseling, and he was supposed to take a psychiatric assessment from a doctor as well, and just let go. And that's only because the judge thought that the crime committed by the juvenile was not very, very serious. Since when did we start living in a world, Rajalakshmi Joshi, where killing 2 people was not a serious offense? And what kind of a message is that sending, to people who are perhaps in the same situation, have a lot of money, have these fancy cars, are backed up by people, their fathers and their uncles, who usually flaunt that kind of clout, to assure them that do whatever you want, you'll get away?
Yes, Vineet. This would have been, I could have said that this is a very ridiculous situation, and maybe we could have said it is funny if it was not so tragic. I mean, this thing about writing an essay, this is, I think it's atrocious that how, the judicial system could think that a person could be given this kind of a penalty. And, I fail to understand this thing about this juvenile system, this juvenile justice. That seems to be in a very juvenile state, Vineet. I'm sorry to use these kind of words. But, I was reading about another case where, there was this 15-year-old teenager who killed 2 people 6 months ago, and 6 months later, again, he has actually, not only used the car, he has actually run them over. So run people over, and he has injured 4 people. So I mean, that is, I don't know, I'm at a loss for words about all these kind of things. So this thing about the juvenile justice, I think that definitely needs to be looked, definitely with a lot of more seriousness. So I think that, Mr. Amit Shah was very right in coming up with this Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, because, like more than, say, 150 years ago, obviously the situation was different. There were the circumstances were different. So when the law, the IPC was made at that time, I'm sure that a lot of these things might not have been thought over by the lawmakers. So there are a lot of things that definitely needs to be looked up. So this again, this system of looking at a teenager as a child, when he can visit 2 pubs and he can drink something that is exceeding his capacity, and that also on a regular basis. I hear that this is not the first time that he is driving this vehicle, and that he has been doing this over the last maybe 6 months or so. So, not only he needs counseling, his parents also need counseling, and actually his grandfather also. So I'm hearing a lot of things about his grandparents also. So I think this is a very sorry state of affairs, where people feel entitled, they feel privileged, and they think that they are completely over and above the law, and that they feel that the law can be mended and they can be bended as per their convenience. So I think that is something that the youth and even the grown-ups should be made aware that this should not happen. See, my father made it a point that I will not drive a car, I will not even as much as sit in the driver's seat till I am able to actually not just turn 18, but till I am actually able to drive well. And he made sure that the driving instructor, he sat and he made sure that I passed the driving test by myself with no help whatsoever from the driving instructor. So, that I think that all parents need to be extremely responsible about all of this. So just imagine that, God forbid, if somebody else from their own family, or whoever is coming up to create any kind of influence or any kind of help to such a kind of a person, if somebody from their own family is along with them or is in the line of fire from these youngsters, what will happen to them? At least they should fear this law of karma. So this is something that I am shocked as to how somebody can think that they can get away by writing an essay, a 300-word essay at that. And like you rightly said, I'm sure that the boy must have never in his life even attempted to write an essay, like looking at his kind of lifestyle and how he has been trying to mend and bend laws as per his convenience. So I think that this is silly, Vineet.
Absolutely.
And definitely,
we also need to understand and not undermine the role of a parent here. Because
Yes,
technically, this boy is still a minor. He's still under the guidance of his parents, and whether to give him that car or not give it to him, or allot him any of these luxuries at such a young age, is also something which directly points at the kind of education or value systems the parents should be creating. That's obviously a debate for another time. We've run out of time. Thank you everyone for being a part of this conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.